INDEMO offers us a very different proposal from other investment platforms. It offers us the opportunity to invest in discounted debts backed by a mortgage with a high return of around 15%. But this might not be new for many investors. What is new, however, is that right now the way we are going to invest in INDEMO has changed. In this video, I am going to tell you everything. I am going to tell you how from now on we can invest in INDEMO and diversify even more and have more control over our diversification. And also stay until the end because I'm going to tell you my opinion about INDEMO. Before starting, I would like to invite you to the Telegram community where you can share experiences and opinions with other investors, and also to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss more interesting videos about investments. Now let's get to it. Let's start with a brief summary of what we are investing in at INDEMO, because it is a different investment than we are used to in other crowdlending investment platforms. Here at INDEMO, what we are going to invest in is discounted debt. How does this work? INDEMO works with a company specializing in debt recovery. What they do is buy debts from large banks that are not interested in managing the recovery of those debts. And all of these are debts that have a mortgage behind them, meaning a property behind them. So what the company does is buy that debt at a discount. We, the investors, invest in this discounted debt, and after the recovery process of that debt, which usually involves a legal process and the sale of the property, we investors will benefit from the profitability that comes from buying a debt at a very low price and selling the property at a much higher price. Something else that's very interesting for us to know about INDEMO is that it is a platform that is regulated. It is a platform regulated in the European Union, regulated by the Central Bank of Latvia, and unlike many other real estate investment platforms that are regulated with crowdfunding license, INDEMO is regulated as an investment company, that is, as an investment broker. And that has some very important advantages for investors, such as being within the investor compensation system, which means that our investments are protected at 20% in case the INDEMO platform disappears or has any bankruptcy issues. However, we must keep in mind that this does not protect against it being a bad investment. This does not protect our profitability. What it protects is in case INDEMO bankruptcy or for whatever reason could not handle those investments, just as it happens with investment brokers and other companies that are regulated as investment companies. Additionally, this regulation also means that it is strictly regulated by the Central Bank of Latvia and must meet certain requirements. Therefore, when we invest in INDEMO, we are not investing directly in a debt, not directly in a loan, not directly in a property, but we are investing in a financial instrument called notes in INDEMO, and so far they have included different properties. But from now on, we are going to see that this is what has changed. Previously at INDEMO, when we were investing in a note, by the way, in each note you can invest from as little as 10 euros. Within each note, we were investing in different properties, in different debts with a discount. Here you can see what my dashboard looks like and the notes I've been investing in so far, what each of them included. Here we see a note, and it included different properties, and this is what has changed right now. Now, when we go to invest, we will be able to invest and decide in which properties, in which discounted debts we want to invest, since each note includes only one property. And this is how we are going to see the investment opportunities. Here we will see the different properties we can invest in, which are available right now, and at a first glance we will be able to see the name and the location of this property, this discounted debt. We will see the estimated return. The estimated return is only an estimate, as this is going to vary greatly depending on when we buy the debt and when the property is ultimately sold. Since here what we are doing is seeing the estimated return on an annualized basis, we will see the amount that is available and we will see the loan to value. The loan to value is something we must take into account, and this ratio is calculated by dividing the price for which the debt was bought by the value of the property. Normally, here we will see that almost all properties have a loan to value around 50, a little more than 50%. This means that the debt has been purchased for a value of half the property's price, which provides a very wide margin for investors to recover and obtain a lot of profitability. If we go to the top, we will be able to choose some filters to view the properties in order. We will be able to see if we want to choose a higher or lower loan value, the expected return, although right now the expected return we will see in all of them is 15.10, and also the amount to finance for each of these debts. They are not very significant filters, nor do they provide us with a lot of information. Also, as you can see right now, there aren't many properties, but at times there can be many more. Above all, the PTV can help us make a decision on which ones we want to invest in, or even if we don't decide directly from here, on which ones we can invest, on which ones we want to go inside and see more details about that property, because within each of them we will have a lot of information. Regarding the information inside each debt, we will have information about the phase in which the recovery of this debt is. As you can see, this is in phase 5 and there are phases ahead. Not every phase takes the same amount of time. In fact, some phases overlap with each other. And here, within each of the debts, within each of the notes, we will also be able to see all the information and all the investment documents. For example, in this other debt, we will see that it is in a slightly earlier stage, in stage number 2, and would take more time. Although this is sometimes relative and sometimes they progress faster, some debts that are in the initial phase than debts that were more advanced. But of course, it can be interesting to consider the stage each of these debts is in to invest, if we have to choose just a few in those that are a bit more advanced. But as you can see, almost all are in a fairly early stage when we can invest in them. To invest, it's as simple as clicking here on Invest and deciding the amount we want to invest. If we want to do it from here without seeing more information about the debt, or we can go inside the debt and here where we see all the information, also above on Invest, and we decide the amount we want to invest. I am going to invest directly in this debt. Now Liv, I am going to invest 250 euros, although I can invest a minimum of 10 euros. I am going to invest a higher amount because here we are not going to see a huge amount of investment opportunities, and I want to diversify, but I don't need to have as much diversification as investing only 10 euros in each one, since I want to invest quite a bit of capital, and later I am going to explain why. I will have to click on Accept the terms and conditions and invest, and I will have already invested in this debt. And to see it, I will have to go to Portfolio, Assets or Notes. Let's look at it in Notes because it's clearer right now, since here I have notes that included different properties, and the one I just invested in is this one here, which is only this property, and if we go to Assets or Properties, we will see how it progresses. Here, as the situation changes, as it changes phase and progresses, this will change and we will see it with the purple line. INDEMO has Auto Invest. However, the Auto Invest tool is a basic, simple tool, and honestly, it only works when we have money available here. And as the available money runs out, it will stop working. Therefore, I do not use it. And as you can see, it doesn't have many parameters either, so it's not useful for diversifying our investment portfolio. But I have been informed by INDEMO team that they expect to launch a new Auto Invest tool with improvements in the coming months before the end of this year, as well as the filters that we can see here to invest in different debts and select them as we like. We will also see in the future a secondary market to sell and exit our investments, but that will be in a slightly more distant future, probably around the middle of the year 2026. And for those who want to know more about INDEMO, I have created several videos. I started investing in INDEMO at the beginning when they started in the year 2023. I have already been investing in INDEMO for 2 years. And here we can see in the analytics the performance of my INDEMO portfolio with the return on investment achieved, although many of the properties I have invested in have not yet been returned. We have to keep in mind that this is a long-term investment. We do not even know the time frame in which the debts will be repaid, but in exchange for this we will be able to obtain a high return. As you can see, these are some of the properties of the debts that have already been sold, and in some of them I have obtained a return that exceeds up to 85%. This is because of the timing when I started investing in them and the moment they were sold, which took very little time to sell since I bought them. However, what is expected is that we achieve a return of around 15%, since some of the debts will take longer to be repaid. Like there's one I bought when I started investing, and there's still a small amount remaining from 2 years ago that hasn't been returned. Yet I mean, from one note I had several properties. One of these properties still hasn't been returned. But we also have to keep in mind that even if it takes a longer time, which means the annual return we are getting will be a bit lower, the price at which the debt was purchased is much lower than the property's value, and properties moreover tend to have a higher value over time. And now you know more about INDEMO. If you also want to start investing, right now they have a special cashback promotion. It's the biggest and most valuable promotion they have released so far for all investors. If we invest from 250 euros up to 1,500, we will get 2.5% instant cashback. Instant means that as soon as we invest, it will already be credited to our account, so we can reinvest it. Here we see I had 500 euros, I just invested 250 in this property we saw, and they have already added 6 euros of cashback. But if we invest an amount greater than 1500 and less than 5000 euros, we will get a 4% cashback. And if we invest more than 5000 euros, we will get a 5% cashback. And this is for all the investors. However, if you haven't started investing in INDEMO yet and you sign up through the link I leave in the description, you will get an extra 0.5%, which means you can achieve between 3% and 5.5%. The advantage too is that this is until the 30th of November and you do not have to invest it all at once, all at the same time. In fact, what I'm going to do is gradually add capital throughout this month and invest to diversify in each of these properties. So I'm joining the cashback campaign until the end of the month, until November 30th, and I can also diversify into all the new debts they are issuing. Now that you know more about INDEMO and this new way of investing in INDEMO, tell me if you were already investing. What do you think about this new investment proposal? And also if you have any doubts or questions, leave them below in comments. You know that I reply to all your comments. Before you go, I would like to ask you for a like, thumbs up, which makes me happy and helps the channel grow. I would also like to invite you to subscribe to the Telegram channel, where you can share experiences and opinions with other investors, and also to this YouTube channel so you don't miss more interesting videos about investments. See you very soon.